I told the same story 1997.
What if one of hip-hop's most tragic nights wasn't random at all? What if the murder of the Notorious B.I.G?
But I was like, Paul came to me and said, yo, Gene, what's wrong? I said, that nigga dead, Paul.
A moment that shocked the world wasn't just another unsolved case, but a carefully calculated setup. For over 2 decades, Gene Deal, the man who stood just feet away from Biggie when the shots rang out, remained silent. He watched documentaries, reenactments, and headlines distort what really happened. And every version the public saw, it left out the truth he lived through. But now, he's finally speaking. And what he says changes everything. March 9th, 1997, Los Angeles. Christopher Wallace, Biggie Smalls to the world, Big Papa to his fans, was just 24 years old. He had just left an after-party at the Peterson Automotive Museum, a high-profile event filled with stars, cameras, and celebration. There was laughter, music, flashbulbs. It was supposed to be a night of triumph. Instead, it turned into the final chapter of a legend's life. Shortly after midnight, Biggie's SUV rolled to a red light at the corner of Wilshire Boulevard and South Fairfax. Another vehicle pulled up beside them. Then, gunfire. 4 bullets hit Biggie. One was fatal. He was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, but it was too late. The official story told around the world: a drive-by shooting, a random chaotic act of violence, an unavoidable tragedy in the midst of an East Coast-West Coast war. But Gene Deal says that story is a lie. He was there, and what he saw tells a very different story. According to Gene, the car that fired the shots wasn't passing by. It was parked, stationary, waiting, watching. The shooter didn't react. He was prepared. That wasn't chaos, Gene says. It was choreography. And Gene had felt the tension long before the bullets flew. He wasn't Biggie's personal bodyguard that night. He was assigned to protect Sean Puffy Combs. But he'd seen enough in his career to recognize something was off. Security was loose. Plans had changed last minute. Too many things felt wrong. And before they even left for the event, he told someone, "Somebody's going to die tonight." That wasn't paranoia. That was experience talking. And it turned out he was right. When the shots rang out, Gene ran. He sprinted toward the SUV and pulled Biggie out of the front seat. What he saw still haunts him. Blood, silence, death. "This kid died while I was pulling him out of the car," Gene recalls. And from that moment forward, he carried it. The guilt, the questions, the weight of a truth no one seemed to want to hear. So why stay silent for 20 years? Because in the world they lived in, silence meant survival. Gene didn't talk to the press. He didn't sell interviews. He didn't chase headlines. He watched quietly as the world accepted a version of Biggie's death that never felt true to him. The shooter always portrayed as some phantom driving by. Security missteps ignored. The signs leading up to it erased. But Gene remembered it all. The static energy in the air that night. The unusual SUV arrangements. The failure to position protection where it mattered most. And worst of all, how no one else seemed to do what needed to be done. "I did everything in my power to stop it from being Puff," he said. "But the people who were supposed to protect Big, they didn't." And that's what breaks him. He's not calling out names, but he's clear. This wasn't some spontaneous act of violence. It was precise. It was organized. And someone somewhere knew it was going to happen. The shooter didn't just show up. He was already there, ready. For Gene Deal, breaking the silence wasn't about revenge. It was about Biggie, about the truth, about correcting a lie that's been passed off as history. He's not asking you to believe every word blindly, but he's asking, why did no one ever question it? Why wasn't a man as valuable as Biggie better protected? Why were so many obvious red flags ignored? Why has no one ever been held responsible? Now, after 20 years, Gene's voice is part of the story, and the myth of a random drive-by is crumbling. This isn't just a cold case, it's a cold truth, one the industry still hasn't fully faced. Because when silence protects power, it also buries the truth. And Gene, he's done being silent. Because the story of Biggie's death can't be told without the man who watched it unfold. And now, finally, he's telling it.